Yo. As you understood from the title of the video, namely how to play against decks a Lava Hound if you have a deck Hog Exe Nado. First, let's take a look at the currently popular Lava Hound decks in this meta. According to Royal AIP, I have identified several of these decks. The first of them is a variation with Miner, Skelly King, Flyer Machine with Phoenix. The statistics are on your screen. Against this deck will be difficult to play if you have not played a Hog Exe Nado deck, unlike other variations. The next variation now looks completely different, with a clone spell, a lumberjack, and a baby dragon. This is probably the most favorable matchup judging by the win and loss stats. And the last variation for today. It's with Mighty Miner, Skeleton Dragons and Balloon. There too, the stats are almost identical. Well, as you figured out, statistically it's our matchup, but it's not quite that simple. Let's break down the most common mistakes made. When an opponent puts a lava, you should only put the Exe when the lava to cross the Princess Tower. Otherwise the Exe will be too close to the bridge and you won't be able to protect him from the support troops. Better to play it this way. When the enemy puts lava, we can stress him with a Valkyrie and he will have to answer something, and meanwhile the lava will fly to our half, where we will put the Executioner in the best possible position. Useful tip. If your opponent has a Miner, you can put your Executioner behind the King Tower, so that if he snipes it with a Miner, you can use a Nado to throw over to the King Tower. Mistake number 2. Play on different sides. It is a gross mistake. You need to play on the same line so that the Executioner gets value. Otherwise you can get fucked by a push on different sides. And now look what would happen if I played with him on the same side. The difference is enormous, because the Executioner gives a huge value. And the last grave mistake. Not to be aggressive in attacking with the Hog. Since these opponents have few decent responses against the Hog, we should take advantage of this. Here is an example of when this can be implemented. So, first I want to say that the opponent has this deck, where the most worthy response to the Hog not to take damage is a tombstone, through which we can pass with the log. Let's start analyzing the match. In a matchup like this, when you attack with a Hog, you must have a log to destroy his tombstone. The Phoenix can be defended advantageously with an Ice Spirit, because in the latest balance changes it was subjected to deterioration. As I said before, we should not play passively, so we do not throw all the cards only in defense. We can for example do this way. Look, he now has a tombstone in the cycle against the Hog, and with a log, we can destroy it, and that way we can go to the advantage. And also with goblins we can distract the Phoenix. Don't relax. Since he didn't have a Mighty Miner in his hand right now, we can put pressure on him, and he even had to spend Zap spell. The best option here was to defend against skeletal dragons with a Hog, because in parallel with this we force him to defend himself, and this is clearly not good for him. It is very important to count the opponent's card cycle during the game, because with this we can inflict some damage, as here, because he had in his hand Zap spell. So, the enemy put the Lava Hound. Remember the cycle of cards that his tombstone will be available only after one card, since he has a champion on the map, but the elixir he will not have enough to put the tombstone and it is a good chance to attack. And in the meantime the lava has passed the Princess Tower and now our Executioner will be in the best position. Spin the cycle, parallel to the log do damage, and we are available goblins to distract the Phoenix. He throws Fireball at the Exe. I put Vok in this position, and pay attention to the moment when you need to throw a tornado, when the axe returns to the Executioner, so it gets more value. On the other side he tries to crush with the Mighty Miner, since we have just spent a Valkyrie, but due to the fast cycle, we can easily defend against this. It is not necessary to waste a rocket against the balloon. We can defend ourselves much easier. Just wait for the balloon to focus on the tower and at that moment drag it to the King Tower. Meanwhile, the opponent give up. That's basically the tactic against this matchup. Now let's apply theory to practice. To put all the knowledge into practice, I decided to find a match against a lava in a grand challenge, but I never got a lava in all the battles. So I decided to go find a match in a global tournament, and on 19 wins I was able to do it. At that point, I didn't know what my opponent had yet, so I'm just gonna go for Hog at the bridge. He defends himself with a tombstone. While it's not clear what his deck is, I'm just gonna go for Vok in the back. And he puts the Skelly King on the other side at the same second. I chose a shitty timing to put the Valkyrie. I assumed it was a Splash Yard deck or a Golem Lightning. I was about to put the Exe, when suddenly he puts the Flying Machine, and then I realized that this is our client. This deck has a lot of baits on the Executioner, but by no means put the Executioner. He will be needed only when the opponent puts lava. And since I spent a Valkyrie on the other side, he does a lot of damage. Now let's remember how to play against this matchup. First, play on the same side where he attacks. Second, play aggressively, and count the cycle of his cards to pass his defense. He puts lava. This is a great opportunity to attack Vok plus Hog, since he does not have a Skelly King and Miner now and we deal him crushing damage. And now I can put the Executioner in a safe position. Here it is necessary to put the Spirit so that the Phoenix was in the flight path of the Exe's axe. He's putting out the flying machine again. He'll probably break through more with the Miner. I already have goblins at the ready against the Miner, and the Valkyrie needs to be placed so that the tower can then shoot off the flying machine. Great. I caught the Miner and put the Valkyrie right. When he threw the arrows, I knew it would be a good example of how to defend and attack at the same time. I had the log at the ready to pass the tombstone and my Hog makes one hit. In the meantime, I have HP this much left on the Princess Tower, and his tower I can easily finish with the log. Here I realized that defending against lava makes no sense, so I decide to develop the attack on the right side, since he again had no Skelly King in his hand and had little elixir. Nice. That's one rocket. The left tower he finishes, but on the right side there is a huge push on me. Good thing I have a rocket. Honestly, I was wrong about the Valkyrie staging, but that doesn't matter anymore. I just have to get to the next rocket and finish this battle. So that's the video. I hope you learned something useful for yourself. Thanks for watching and take care.